The Radium Podcast, episode 60. We got KDE on the beat and in the house.
6666.
666.
Yeah, I'm here.
60 side.
Drinking
60
beer.
Side.
Feeling
He's here,
good.
he's drinking beer. He's feeling, you fill in the blank.
I know it's Sunday today.
It's Sunday. Yeah. Sunday?
Just make up the day.
It's Tuesday. So, Kevin, we've been kind of rambling on and on about music stuff. I mean, for a portion, probably majority of our lives. Let's talk today. What do you want to talk about, Kev?
I thought we'd talk about team building because
That's good. I like that.
we are in a me industry.
Me, look, I did this.
I'm big time.
Made this song.
I'm huge.
I made this all on my own. I'm so famous all on my own. I do everything all on my
Came up,
own.
it's all me.
It's
No
all
help,
me.
it's all me.
I'm all me. I'm the greatest. It's like the most myopic culture is the music industry. It's like no other industry does this. They're like, me, did it myself, man. I built that software program, bro. All on my own. No funding, no angel investors, nothing. So yeah, let's talk about a team. I mean, where do you really start? Where do you start? You know, like it's like one thing to be an artist and be doing everything yourself, but I think like in any business structure, no matter what, you do everything yourself at the beginning. I think that's pretty normal. It's like, I want to make music, and you're like, cool, man. You're like, what do you do? Oh, I got to get a band together. No, you're like, nowadays, you're like, I got to get a computer.
And a interface from Guitar Center.
Hey, Kev, can I get Fruity Loops from you? Hey, bro, you got the crack of waves?
No, the funny thing is, like,
Get it done.
even in the beginning stages, you still have a team. You're just getting people to do stuff for free, right? Let's keep it real.
You're like running off favors.
Yeah, favors.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully you built enough favors. But yeah, these are people like in, a lot of promises, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why a lot of bands fail.
Yeah.
And a lot of recording artists fail too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all about being like Brad said, a business, and being the owner and operator of your business. If you want to make this a business, or if you want to just do it for fun, then you probably don't need a team build. Right?
Yeah, I think to get to the basis of it, when you're talking about building a company, and like, let's say you are an artist, you're a company, right? I'm going to start my artistry. I'm going to make some songs. What do those songs mean? Are you just like a hobbyist? You're going to have fun with them. You're going to make music. That's like a whole different thing. So we're not talking about that. Let's just get rid of the idea of what we're not talking about.
I think we've made that clear on every podcast. Like, this is not for people who just want to dibble dabble.
Yeah. I don't care, man. Art, I love music. It's art. Yeah, we all fucking love music and it's art. We get that. That's not what we're talking about. There's podcasts probably dedicated to that, right? I mean, go listen to NPR. They do like their music thing at night or whatever. Here's this band that nobody knows about, nobody cares about but us on NPR. It's like, that's cool. Do that. That's fun. I'm totally hating on people.
Yeah, you are. You're hating on NPR.
Yeah, I don't
Those are
like,
my dogs.
I hate NPR.
They're
dude.
from the Bay. What's
Fuck
happening?
NPR. I hate that shit. Shit drives me nuts. A bunch of people like talking about Trump every 5 seconds just because they're trying to get their ratings to stay alive.
But they're calm.
But they're calm about it. Trump just did this and he's a real fuckhead.
So let's get back on topic. Speaking of off topic.
We're staying off topic today.
We're talking about NPR now. What we want to talk about is how to control your own destiny by running your own shit and being the captain of your own ship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, even if that destiny means you're fucking broke as shit and you can't afford anything.
Yeah, if you want to be an
At least
entrepreneur,
it's yours.
Yeah, if you want to go start ice cream store.
Yeah.
You still got to have employees and you still got to build a team. Yeah. But what we're going to relate this to is music, but this just applies generally speaking. So with music, it's a team sport completely. I've said this on podcasts before. You have to have people that do different parts of your music. I think artists just think like too like you said, myopic, where it's like, oh, well, I rapped on the song and I was the only one rapping on the song, so
it's my song.
Yeah. We didn't have, but the real successful artists and people in the game, labels, they have buildings of people working on a song and working on a release, and the success of that release is based upon those people and playing their position to the fullest, Name some of the jobs that occur in a label or label circumstance that have to get done for a major release to happen and be a success and number one hit on the Billboard?
Yeah. So
Publicist.
right. I mean, I think if you actually just break it down into like an actual chronological order,
Yeah.
it makes more sense to me. Like you are going to have the creative team, which could just be you on a computer, right?
Yeah.
But that's just the creative part. Like it doesn't mean that you're actually making a product.
Wasn't Tyler the creator? Didn't he create all his own beats on this new album?
Exactly.
And
He did a lot of that stuff.
they still had a building of people behind it.
But it's not like. But then after that, like
Yeah.
he wasn't hitting record on himself. He wasn't picking the microphone and doing everything himself. He's like maybe making the beats, maybe writing the lyrics, maybe doing the melodies and stuff. But he's in a zone with people where you're bouncing ideas off them. And I think the creative team is like number one. It's like number 1, 2, and 3. If you get in the room with people that are like, I have a great engineer, right? Someone that knows my voice, knows what mic's going to work on it, knows how to capture it, knows how to get the best takes out of
the
me.
effects that I need.
The effects,
you know what I mean?
the
My
signal
sound.
chain, my sound, dial in like what they like about my voice.
Like listen to Travis Scott. Like
totally.
how much do the effects actually play with the creativity of
So
the music?
important.
Yeah.
And that creation process, that takes a team in itself. If you can be all those things, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with just do everything yourself creatively. But when it does come to the final product, you do need editing, mixing, mastering, and you need many, many hours of that. You need revisions. You need to be able to make the product to a point where this needs to be solid. It needs to be a product. It can't just be, I created something on my own.
Yeah, I think, and this comes back to what we've talked about with release. It takes a lot more of content beyond just the song.
Yes.
Once you get to
Producers
releases.
are sound designers now, right?
Yeah.
So you can have a composer, and I want to make this really clear because I think there's a lot of confusion around engineer, producer, composer, songwriter, lyricist. There's so many different things, and yes, they cross over. But if you're really, really, really fucking good at being a composer, you know how to change chords and do movements within chords and harmonic structure, and you know the theory and what would do what and how it would work and the range of where the vocalist would sit and the bass would sit and all that. If you're a producer, you might not be a great composer.
Yeah.
But you might be able to take a composer's work and sound design it to modern, right? Use the sounds that are going to sound more modern, get an actual vibe going of like, yo, I love with this, the writing and the chord structure and the music.
You already go over Orchestrator?
Yeah, but that's kind of the same thing, you know, like as a like composer, orchestrator, you know, like it depends on the genre, but I think specifically, you know, like if you're a beat maker, you're kind of doing everything, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah, but usually
not these days. It's like, oh, someone sends some loops and I put some drums down.
So usually a beat maker nowadays is not a composer. They're not an arranger very much.
They do a lot of the arranging. I feel like more than anything.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. They're not like arrangements. They're like sound designing a loop, you know?
Yeah.
If you're arranging, you're really like you're arranging the musical stuff. Like you're not just throwing a plug-in on something that's the same all the way through to change the arrangement. And if you're not a good arranger, you don't know how to change things musically, so you change things with sound design.
Yeah.
And that's what a producer is to me. They're like, I'm going to produce this. I'm going to make this sound cool.
Hey, I'm going to filter it on the pre-chorus.
Facts. And I got this great idea, and then this delay throw should go or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, once you're done with all that, you're going to have the writer, the rapper, the recording artist, the singer, the songwriter. Maybe you're all those things in one.
And if you're on Ariana Grande, you're gonna have a goddamn vocal coach, you know, and
vocal producer.
Yeah, you're gonna have an engineer. You're gonna have, you know, a team of people. And if you're a rock band, you're gonna have a guitar tech. You're gonna have, you know what I mean?
Facts.
We could go down the.
But that's the thing. Like every business is like this, right?
Yeah.
If you're a solopreneur, you're one person in a business. You're going to do everything. You're your accountant. You're everything. You're your CFO,
Marketing.
CEO, COO. You're everything.
Yeah.
But then if you're an Apple. You literally have an executive creative director in a department of a thing, right?
Yeah.
And the way you're going to make the product the best that it can be on a mass level and scale is you have people specializing really well.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the team. And if you want to make big records, you build that team.
Yeah.
And people specialize. If your homie makes beats and he's telling you he can also record, mix, and master you, he's probably not that good at everything.
Yeah, and it just depends where you set the bar, because if you're trying to play at Drake's level, Drake's got an army. You know what
Facts. So how good do you want to make your shit, and how much of it do you want to make? And, you know, how many releases are you going to make, etc. This is like the most important thing to think about when you're building a team. It's like, what do I want to do? What is the end goal? Oh, I want to be on Drake's level. Then you got to build your team to Drake's level.
Yeah, Drake's team.
Not just your artistry, your whole team.
His brand team, he has a team of people who just handle his marketing team. His marketing team's out of here. They have...
Insane.
Yeah, they have a lot of people running that shit, you know what I mean?
100%.
Blueprint Group, he has a team of managers, you know what I mean? Or... you know, that's what I'm saying. He has teams of everything.
Yeah. And it is very much like a stacked thing. The more you can specialize, the better. If you could find someone that's absolutely obsessed with vocal coaching and that's all they do, then that's what you should find, like just that person. But then if someone comes into the studio and they're like, I do everything, I also vocal coach, I vocal produce, you have to be able to say, yo, I understand you do everything, but I have a vocal coach. They're going to do all the vocal coaching. You know, you can have some say, you guys can talk about it, but this is the vocal coach. They have final say on the vocals, right? If you're the producer, you're the beat maker, and you're the dopest fucking beat maker. Your shit is so dope. You're better than Metro Boomin in his heyday. That's all you should be doing.
Yeah.
And on your team, that guy just makes fucking beats. He doesn't mix your records, dude. He doesn't record you. He doesn't record vocals. He makes beats, and he makes dope beats.
Yeah.
That's all he should be doing. Just, dude, go sit down and make tons of beats. Go get high out of your mind and make me 50 beats. That's it. You got to specialize, because if you can get that team together, like, here's my biggest thing. I never want my marketing person to also be my producer and my recording engineer. Oh, and then I also want them to go do my designs, and I also want them to go do sales calls. Now, look, when you're first starting out, this is how I think about it. You might be one person, right?
Don't punch it.
You might be one person when you're starting out. Don't punch the microphone. And you're doing everything. And then if you can get just two more people involved, they're going to take 4 things each, and you're going to take 6 things, right? And then you can break out more, and you could say, okay, now people could take on 3 things each. And then it goes 2 things each. And then you start to go, okay, that person's not really that great at those things.
Yep.
Right? Like these other 3 people, they're fucking killing it at these 2 things. But that person doesn't know what they're doing. Let's get rid of them, or let's find another place for them. But at the end of the whole thing, you should have everyone like specialized, specific. You got the surgeon that's a thoracic surgeon. They only work on the throat. You know what I mean? You have a ear, eye, doctor, you know, that only works on
optometrist.
Ear, nose doctor that only works on ears and nose, right? And that's what they specialize on. And they know every little tiny detail of that. You got someone editing your records that's all they do. They edit and they tune, and they just use Melodyne like it's its own art. It's its own paintbrush. It's its own guitar. You got a guitar player, that's all they do. They play guitar.
Yeah, so I want to just talk about my experiences in the studio. A studio I used to work at, which I'm not going to name. We used to create records, and you know, what we'd do is we'd have beats come through. Then those writers would come in, and it would be writing sessions, sometimes 3 at a time, and they'd write a ton of records. The client would come in, choose the record they wanted. Then a vocal coach would come in with the artist, and then they would spend time working the records to the final vision. You know, like, hey, I want this record to sound like how Ariana Grande would want to sing it. You know what I mean? And so they would practice those singing styles. You know, you'd practice airy falsettos if you needed airy falsettos, and then they would practice that for a week. And then a week later, we come back in, and then we cut the record. The vocal coach would be there, and then work vocal warm-ups, and then get the artist through the song, sing it completely. We'd bring the writers back in again, and the writers would usually be doing all the doubles. So then you had all the harmony stacks and all that. So the writer would come back in and serve as the double singers, and then you would have like a huge pop song after that. You know what I mean? And then it would go back to like someone like me, who I was doing the recording back then. But then I would go into, you know, the mixing, the mastering, editing, everything that Brad just talked about. So and then that's how a record got done. But it took like a team. And then, you know, I didn't even explain how many producers were involved. But yeah, it was a lot. It was a team.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is all hopefully useful information. I think there's a lot of contextual stuff, like depends on the project, depends on the genre.
I was just giving one example, but 100% the
like
workflow is
if you're
different.
doing film music, it's totally different.
Yeah.
If you're doing music for TV, it's totally different.
Drop a film music example working on a movie.
Yeah, so film music is really interesting because I think a lot of people romanticize film music and composers. Composers are
He did it all himself.
They're so...
He found the sound.
How do you say? It just floated out of me. Everything is so romanticized. And, if you watch an interview with a composer versus a producer,
yeah,
it's the best thing. It's like the composer is like, and these things were dancing around in sprinkles of droplets, and I felt very, and then the producer's like, so I grabbed this thing off Splice, and I just like compressed a little bit, and that was pretty cool. And then I put my guitar through some of my favorite pedals, just that one, and they're pretty sick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we got that texture. That was fun. Composers romanticize everything is the whole point. They're like the modern day poets,
But I do think beat makers really just shit stuff out. Let's keep it lit.
Yeah, beat makers, I think they're
shit it out, get it done.
They like to play with stuff, Yeah. They're like, oh, I like to play with this and make it sound sick instantly.
Yeah,
like presets, bam, bam, take the drum kit, bam, bam, okay, draw it in.
Finished.
But yeah, getting back to it, film composing, the process of that is very interesting. It's not what you would expect. Typically, the composer, the lead composer, the person hired, the Hans Zimmer, they would get the film, they would talk to the director. They're very much in line with the director. And I think of them as the liaison between their team. Like they're kind of a producer in their own right, but they're not, they're between their team and the director and the vision of the film or the movie, the narrative, and they're speaking about that with them and getting on the same page. So the big thing is to be able to translate that vision and that structure and everything to a melodic structure that they might write on a piano, they might mock up on Logic, Pro Tools, Innuendo, whatever, Cubase, and they would get those thematic ideas down, right? This sounds like Margaret's death scene. This sounds like the love theme. This is the space theme, etc., right? And they just have these ideas that are very melodically structured and sometimes just sound designy, right? They're like, wow, I found this sound and it just made me think of, they start plugging in their synthesizers and shit. If you're Trent Reznor, you're working with Atticus Ross, right? And they're just literally sound designing for as long as they can to come up with palettes and ideas and textures and sounds for the filmscapes, right? So they're really like, yo, this movie's about this. We got to find the sounds that embody that, right? So, and the melodies, right? The melodies that embody this like thinking process, like when you talk about the Facebook movie, social media one, that's very much like, them playing with sound design, figuring out the sounds, and then going, wow, this is really, really, this is great and it's effective. And it's also kind of like a pondering and putting pieces of puzzles together with arpeggiating things and stuff. So it speaks its own language, and it's like a third counterpart, like a 3D, the third dimension to what the film is saying with narrative, acting, sound design, shots, coloring, etc. And that music is like a texture to it, and it's another story. So it's like the composer's able to put their narrative in there that kind of like laces the movie, and it can tell stories that aren't told directly, right? Composing is very much that. It's very much a psychology. It's not necessarily just, hey, that's a major 7. It's very much like you do whatever is going to make it feel right. It doesn't need to be complex.
So then what's orchestration if that's what composing is?
So that's the composer. Yeah. So the team is literally like, okay, now I got an orchestrator. They want to record an orchestra. They were going for, when they showed us the temp and the ideas, they were going for this sound, right, of this Lucasfilm or whatever, right, where it's massive and it's 80 pieces of orchestra and these big drums and it's thick. Then we're not talking about Social Network anymore. We're talking about, okay, how do I write these textures for this film?
How do I take a melody and make it
to be constructed, to be
80 players, right?
Orchestrated into 80 players. And sometimes you're not using all the players. you know, but other scenes might use, you know, the brass, the drums, and the strings, and others might use just the piano, timpani, and, you know, some horns or whatever. But you have the palette, and that's what an orchestra is. It's literally saying, here's my color palette, like one of those old school color palettes, and then you're able to go, okay, for this thing, I'm going to do red and green over here, and then I'm going to do this, you know, and I'm going to make a purple over here.
What do we use orchestrators for? A lot of it, like it could go anywhere from like, hey, your job is to notate, you know what I mean, what was written, or, you know, make it make sense because, hey, we chose this this tuba and you're playing a note too high for it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, so that's a big part of it. It's like composers, a really great composer that's like obviously versed in this, Hans, he might pick, and he's done things where he picks a cello really high where it should be a viola. Like an original orchestrator would go, that's supposed to be a viola, and he'd put it as a viola in the charts. But Hans might say, yo, no, I want the cello to play that.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's way out of the range. I know. But that's the interesting part of it, right?
Yeah.
I want that texture, you know, and I want the cello to do something that it's not usually doing. So an orchestrator is able to take all the things and put them together, the science of it all. But an orchestrator can also fuck up an idea really bad, right?
So he's getting into gripe mode.
No, it's
I'm just kidding.
It's not a gripe. It's literally like you have to work with orchestrators that are also on your page, and they vibe with you, and they understand your vision.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to do something in a like let's say a bass trombone, and then an orchestrator goes, yeah, I just orchestrated it into tuba. You're like, that's totally different vibe than what you were going for.
Yeah.
Right? Or, oh, that was too low for a trombone, and we didn't have a bass trombone. You're like, well, then you should talk to me about that, right?
Yeah.
Because you need to make sure you know what that timbre was that you were trying to go for. Because maybe you wouldn't go into trombone, maybe you wouldn't go into tuba, maybe you would go, let's try a chimbasso punch here.
You know what? That's what I liked about the East-West samples, is that you just couldn't play the note if it was too low.
Yeah. And that's great because it'll teach you orchestration.
Yeah.
But orchestration's its own art form. It's much like, I want to say producing, but it's not at all. Because producing, there's really no limits. You throw something into a sampler and crank it up and put everything over the keys.
And what is producing for movies anyways? That's completely different, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think composers nowadays are producers because
music producers.
Yeah, because they're literally they might be coming up with melodic stuff and harmonic stuff, but at the end of the day, they're just having the vision.
And they might just be actual movie producers where they're liaison, like Brad said already. Yeah. So
they're putting some money in. They're saying, and dude, I think producers get a bad rap. They do a lot.
Yeah.
Like, let's remember, producers produce. They make the product happen.
Yeah.
They have the overall
vision. They get the
vision.
guys.
They get the shit done. On time, under budget.
Yeah.
You know, like they get shit done and they get results. And that's what a producer is even for. Just imagine.
That's the classic definition of a producer, not,
Facts.
Hey, I sat and made some fire-ass trap beats.
I made a beat. Yeah. It wasn't even finished. I just put it out.
Yeah.
But like, if you really go back and you think about what would a movie be right now, today, if you just threw a director, creative, and you threw a composer, creative, and you threw an editor and all these people in a room and you said, make a movie.
You know how many producers
and you guys
are
all
on
just figure it out.
How many producers are on a big Hollywood film? You have like line producers.
Yeah, a lot of them, 100%. And producers producing different stuff.
Yeah,
and they're all producing different stuff.
You have a post producer, head of post, head
line
of
producer,
head of pre. You know what I mean? Pre-production.
You got creative directors, which are also kind of producers.
Yeah.
I mean, they're giving direction on creative and they're overseeing the creative team and saying, hold on, like maybe we need to rethink this. They're trying to get everyone on the same page and get them creating stuff outside of what they usually would or knowing who's good at what.
Yep.
You know, an executive creative director is like a producer.
Have
in
the
music.
connections, right?
Yeah, you got to have the connections. Oh, I know exactly who would be great at coloring this, and I know exactly how they would do it, so I'm going to hire them.
Yeah.
They'd understand this vision. You know, so that's look. We're talking about teams here, and team building, and all this stuff is so important because, dude, if I'm going to make a project, like especially a Radium, everyone here knows this. Brad's not sitting down to edit it. I'm not sitting down to color the fucking thing. I'm not going to, shoot this podcast.
Talk your shit.
Well, I'm not because I'll fuck it up. I'll
kidding.
fuck it up. And then everyone will go, dude, Brad, this is all right. Like
Brad's lit.
No, it's like I'm not lit. That's the whole
I'm just
point.
kidding.
Like I can't shoot. I can't edit. I can't I can do that stuff, but I'm not going to be good
Actually,
at it.
once upon a time, you were editing stuff. I remember.
I was
Yeah.
getting paid for it too.
Yeah.
But not because I wanted to, because I just needed to make some dough. I was like, fuck, I learned this shit. I might as well use it. But at the end of the day, like if I like that, I like when everybody, like if you do everything at least a little bit, then you understand everyone's job.
Yeah.
Like when I worked at restaurants, I bussed tables, I hosted, I expedited food, I served food, I bartended, I bar backed, I did everything. So just being in a team environment, going, hey, Will, you know, I know you're bussing the table right now, you know, and I know you're busy with this one. You know what I mean? Like understanding where he's at and then being able to like speak his language. And not be like, oh, you're just a fucking busser or you're just a fucking editor and I'm the producer. Because people in the music industry, they get way ahead of themselves. You know, just because you get a computer and you made a beat, you're not a producer. You don't get to talk to the engineer like however you want to talk to him. You got to learn how to do that shit.
These guys don't have engineers.
But that's the point. They don't know what engineering even is.
Yeah, let me bring it back to like what goes into creating an artist brand, because I've been around some artist brands, some big ones, some small ones, some everywhere in between.
Medium,
Yeah.
extra schmedium.
But let's talk about the big ones, because everyone wants to be big time, right?
I don't think everyone does. I think everyone likes the idea of
Likes the
being big
idea,
time.
sure. But okay, everyone.
Until they got to write a check.
Everyone likes the idea, so let's talk about what is part of a team. I mean, when an artist goes on tour, you really start to understand team. You got front of house, you got monitors, you got a guy who does
Manager,
you have
daily manager,
you have your main manager,
tour manager,
you have multiple tour managers,
bus driver.
Like literally, you have multiple tour managers because someone's got to just make sure that freaking merch happens.
Facts.
If you're in a Coliseum, you know how many merch venues they're gonna have, and someone's got to go and collect and make sure the splits are right. You know what I mean? You got to have a tour manager.
Lawyers, the manager's got to talk to the lawyer, make sure that the actual contract works.
Yeah. And then you have your booking agent. You have your you have personal assistants. You have it takes a team. You have caterers. You have literally if you have an army, you got to take care of the army. So you have. Just think about a big movie, you're going to have full service.
So many moving parts.
You know how
costumes, costume designers, makeup, hair, like everything, all the details.
Yeah. You're a moving team of people.
And then everybody wants to make a hit record. Like, dude, are you willing to like build that kind of team to make a hit record?
Yeah.
But like, look, I get what you're about to say. I just want to preface it with, you want to make a hit record, yeah, but do you want to make more than one? Right? Do you want to be able to replicate that? You want to make $1 million. Do you want to hold on to $1 million and then turn it into $10 million?
Brad just sway. Me.
But that's the point though. Like before you go on with this is like a lot of people getting into this business, especially, they think, hey, people are making money off streaming and I can make a hit record if Tekashi 6ix9ine can.
Yeah.
Do you want to be in the limelight like Tekashi? Do you want to be making threats to cities? Do you want to be talked about?
Yeah, that's what you got to do. You gotta.
If you want to be Tekashi, you want to make shit music. You want to make shit music.
Hey,
but then you also want.
I love Tekashi's music. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, whatever. You like his shit music because he has a persona. He's a fucking clown. You like him, and somehow you attach to him. It doesn't, dude. If you didn't know that it was Tekashi 6ix9ine, and I showed you that shit, and I said, "Hey, this is a homie of mine. It's this guy named Boo Boo Black." You'd be like, dude, this is fucking shit.
No, his shit's catchy. Have you heard the shit with him, Kanye?
You like it because it's Tekashi 6ix9ine. Because he has a brand, dude. Because you watch his shit on, the fucking news channels.
He can sell out a song with no features on it. That's because people fuck with it.
You. You think that, and everybody else does.
Yeah, what do you mean? I think he could sell out a song.
That's a brand.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a brand. Fight!
Brad, you know what? You suck.
You ain't got the answers.
You suck.
That's always the best comeback. You suck. No, honestly, at the end of the day, dude, like nobody would fuck with Drake's shit if it wasn't Drake. They'd be like, yeah, that guy's all right.
Yeah, no,
I don't know him, though.
He shouts out the people on his team: Nico, Oliver, 40.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's
I
so
know.
many players behind the scene too.
I
Like,
know.
yeah,
I get it.
it takes an army of people to artists at that level. You know what I mean? You're talking like some of the most set up people in the game. You know,
Yeah, facts.
how do you have a 10-year career of hits like Drake? It's because you have people doing really good jobs of what they do. Taylor Swift, here's another great example of a mega artist like that. You know how big her team is?
Yeah.
You think she just like, you know, makes a song and
she's
then
a
it's
business.
a number one?
She's a business.
Her record label's literally called Big Machine.
Yeah. I know, right?
Yeah, Big Machine Records.
I love that though. That's like, you know, for me, I'm like, that's honest, you know? Like that has ethics behind it. That's like, we're a big machine, dude. Like that's, guys, don't get it twisted. I got a fucking machine behind me. It's not Taylor Swift. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so let's get down to all the like little bits and pieces and stuff, because I think these are like really integral for brands and stuff like that, and artists are brands. But like there's so many components to let's say Travis Scott releasing a record. Do you know how much art there is to be thought about? The design, the style,
Installs.
You know, you're talking he doesn't just wear anything. He has, you know, just like Kanye, he has a stylist. You know what I mean? He has people who are figuring out the fonts, the designs, the core colors, the album, the direction. Like there's so much creative direction that goes into these projects. You think labels are going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars and they're just going to like leave it up to one dude to figure it out, kind of?
You got
know
it. You got it, bro.
No, are you kidding me?
You got it. You got it. Here's $1 million. You're fine. Go figure it out.
Nah, these are box office movies. Every time a Drake drops an album, there's the big machine behind it. You know what I mean?
And you know, this is the interesting
They
thing.
do this on purpose.
This is the interesting part of the conversation, is that I wonder, I mean, I could predict what it would look like, but I wonder if you gave an artist that was not ready, they had like 5 songs out, they DM everyone, they tell you how they want to blow up, they're going to be big. No, I wonder if you said, cool, man, I got $1 million, here's $1 million, you know, go blow up, what would they do? I mean, you know, like my prediction is they'd go buy a fucking really dope car or something.
House.
Right? Something dope that they thought was dope. They wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't know what kind of cameras, who to hire, whatever. They would just buy stuff and then they'd be broke again. Because that's the whole point. It's like, if you don't know how to take the money and turn it into more money, which means getting the team, which means paying for the right people and the branding and the, you know, the people that shoot the cameras, the edit, the do all the stuff. You don't even know what that looks like, what the process is to design that and to make the product and roll out the record and do. Then you're going to take the $1 million and you're going to go, dude, we need to just shoot a sick video. And I got $1 million.
Dre used to do that on a video.
But what would they do? They'd be like, yo, let's go get a house with a ball pit in it and just shoot it on our iPhones. And it would be a piece of shit. And maybe it would be like accidentally super dope.
That's what I love. Back to my boy Dre is
It'd be like super viral.
back in
biggest thing
2001 ever. With him and Eminem. They were getting so much money they would literally spend $1 million on a video.
Yeah.
And they'd hire literal movie directors that like, you know, shot big movies.
You remember the these voices, that track where they're like getting into the bus into the trailer park and like sleeping with them. There's like these little stories and they're going around and then like you know, they're in the trailer park and then the guy breaks in the trailer park and his wife's cheating on him and yeah, that shit's so dope. I remember those videos were so sick.
That man, remember like Jay-Z's what is it, Black Album and all the videos that came with it? Like
Jay-Z was killing it.
I'm now the motherfucking greatest. What's that song?
Yeah.
Brush your shoulders off. Yeah. Hey, yeah, those are huge productions, man. I love
that. Do it off your shoulder. Dude, when that album came out, I was just like, I was driving around in my 1991 Acura Legend coupe, and I was smoking joints, and like my favorite thing to do is just drive around with the Black Album. It didn't matter if anyone saw me, by the way. It was like, you know, I was in Portland, I was in Oregon, it was rainy. I would just drive around, like smoke joints and like just bump that shit on that Bose system on that car. So much fun.
Do you know how big the scale those albums were compared to these days? Because, like, mind you, we had the economic downturn, and that, like, killed the music industry, and plus all this Napster shit, you know what I mean? But, like, they would go absolutely crazy.
It'll
like,
get back to that. It's going to get back to that.
Like, the budgets were insane.
It's going to go even crazier.
And the teams were insane. Those were, like I say, blockbuster movies. Those were real blockbuster movies, you know, when...
I hope it goes back to that.
Yeah, that was sick. That was, like, the sickest point in time.
I like what Joyner Lucas was doing for a while there. I haven't seen anything from him in a while as far as the videos going, but...
I mean, his concepts
it's very,
are
like,
great,
cinematic. It's very, like, epic. Like, yeah, the concepts are really dope.
Yeah.
I think he can make some cool shit as far as cinematic, like, dope music videos.
Yeah. So, to...
Like, I'm tired of the, like, oh, look, a booty shaking.
Yeah.
Look, I'm in the club. Like... Okay, guys, get a little bit more creative.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is budgets, dude. It's like you have,
What can we do? I don't know. Just use my car, pull into my driveway. Let's go to our club we always go to.
I know the homie who owns the strip club. We're gonna shoot in it on the weekend when no one's there.
Put an ad up for big booty girls. I mean, just put it on Instagram. They'll show up.
But what I was gonna say is like nowadays, I think like the team building comes back to you where it used to be with the label. The label, like they'd sign the artists and they'd build they'd already have the teams and they'd get like they'd have, you know, levels of staff. I think it all comes down to you now. You have to have the team and then you bring it to the label and the label just sells it.
Show the vision, man.
Yeah.
Like people don't want to hear about your vision. And if I could give a piece of advice to anybody, even myself, anyone, I would say don't talk about your vision. Just show it to people.
Yeah.
Don't tell people like, this is what I'm planning, this is what I think, and this is what I'm going to be, and this is who I am. Just show them exactly what that is. And by show them, I mean like just fucking draw it up, you know? Like make a video of it. Make something with it. Make a song. Put out a song. Do it, you know?
And there's always limitations.
What does it sound like? What does it look like? What does it feel like? People want to see it. They don't want to like hear you DM them and say like, "Yo, man, I'm gonna be big. You think you can?"
You know how
fuck
many
with
artists
me?
are like, "Oh, if
See
I had
my
$1 million,
vision."
if I had $1 million, I'd be like,
if you had $1 million, you wouldn't have $1 million.
yeah, if you had $1 million, you spend it and you wouldn't actually. You have to be really good at A, favors, or B, like, you know, work within your means and making something insane within the things that you can afford. Everyone's like looking for money to make them, or looking for an investor or someone else to come in and handle stuff. You know what I mean?
Like how? Why? Like, I don't understand that mentality. What would happen if someone
I'd
came
be
in
big
with $1
time
million
if someone came and gave me a bunch of money because then I could do things.
Like, all of a sudden, you would be dope? It makes no fucking sense. It doesn't... like, all of a sudden, you just got 10 years of practice behind you and failing, and now you're dope all of a sudden because someone put $100,000 behind you?
Yo, you know what? This is a good example. Have you seen Travis Scott's Lovesick?
Mm-mm.
This is him... Video? Yeah, the video. This was him broke, like, you know, sleeping at mom's, or I don't know the entire story, but this is him with $0, and look how fucking dope that video plus the song is for him just like doing shit in his bedroom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
See, if you can do
help.
that, exactly.
He edited it.
That's important.
Yeah, got the homie to shoot it. You know what I mean?
There's an artist out there right now that's doing that for me is this kid Krush. I think he's up in Portland, but he's like, you know, super talented. I think he can push a lot harder. Like he can make doper visuals and stuff, but he's like making his own music. He's producing himself, recording himself and stuff. And he's just really talented. Like he writes great songs and his music's really dope, and he'll go sell out a show, you know, like he's really building a fan base, but he's dope live as well. Like I see the snippets and I'm like, wow, this kid can perform. Right. So I think if you can show people like what you can do with what you have, then they're more willing to say, well, if you had twice as much, you could do twice as much, right? You're like, yeah. Okay, so let's start there, and then let's see what you can do. Oh, wow, you're doing 3 times as much. Okay, let's feed him more. And typically what's happening with labels nowadays is they want to put gasoline on something. They want to be like, yo, there's a fire over there, and it's building. Let's go throw gasoline on it, and let's reap the rewards.
Yeah,
because that's already on the fast track. That's already killing something. So what if we can get it to 100,000 more people just like that?
Yeah,
you know,
it's built off momentum.
Yeah. So nobody wants to get on your shit if you don't have some sort of momentum already. And that's just human nature, dude. Like,
that's the key to team building, is creating the momentum.
but I think the internet gives people this false idea, like, because you can post stuff and because you can, put your stuff out there and publish things and get on Spotify, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean you're doing anything.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that tricks us. Our brains go like, yeah, I'm on Spotify and Apple Music, and it used to be I'm on YouTube, so I'm on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally, we got 4K, 5K, 7K TVs that are, displaying this shit now, right? Like, you can watch YouTube on your smart TV,
mm-hmm.
and like kids are going, "Oh my God, you're on TV, you're famous!" Like back then, like if you were really on TV, like we were like, "Wow!" And now our brains are tricking us, like, we're on TV, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, we're dope.
Yeah,
we got some likes on our Instagram posts, we're dope, and it's like, dude, you can't see it that way. That's what I think we get tied up, and we start believing our own hype, and that's like really truly the most dangerous thing, because now you have kids that don't have any talent at all, and instead of them having to go on to America's Got Talent and be told like, you suck, you have no talent, you should stop doing this, they can put it on the internet, and then there's like 3 people in Kansas that go, I'm your fan, because they're just looking for someone to connect with.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they don't fuck with your music, they just fuck with your personality and the fact that you're like strong enough to put some garbage out there and have people like go, wow, you just put yourself out there. That's a facade to me, Like, you still suck. You still have no talent. But now you have like 15 people that have no talent as well that are going, I'm proud of you. You're proud of me for what? For sucking? No, for putting yourself out there. And then that person's like, yeah, I got fans. I mean, keep pushing.
We should get on
the dream.
We should get on the motivational side of motivational speakers. Like, you got to be strong and you gotta work hard. No,
you got to keep working.
Yeah, with teams, you have to incentivize everybody. Everyone is so self-incentivized, and so they think in the very like self manner.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like, me, and no, you should love me because I'm lit.
Yeah, I'm dope.
Yeah. But incentivizing the people around you is the most important part. Like, what does he want, and how can I align what he wants with me so that we can build something? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you should always be thinking in we. Because the truth is like, if someone's eating, they're going to want to keep working with you. And then, if you're eating, like, you're going to keep want to work with them, and you guys want to build together. You can't do this on your own.
And
I don't care what anyone says. It's not a thing.
This is what I see with artists is, you basically have to like pull out of the pot. You know what I mean? Like, artists, they're the first to walk home with something.
Yep.
And if you want a successful team, you are the last to walk home with something, because keeping the team fed is more important than anything else, because that's how you're going to keep showing up, you know what I mean, to the championships. You're not going to get to the championships if you're the only player, you know what I mean? If
you decide they can't do it without me, right? And you walk off the court, then the whole team fails. And if the whole team fails, then you have nothing. Like, you don't go home and keep getting a paycheck. Yeah. Because your team doesn't play. No matter if you're a fucking all-star player or not, you signed a contract, you're on that team, and if your team's not playing, you don't eat, nobody eats. You know what I mean? And I think that that's a really good point, because there's a lot of managers out there that understand this concept. Yeah. They go into artist management and they're literally like babysitting. They're babysitting. They're literally fathers, they're mothers to these kids that they believe in, and they want to prosper because they want to build a team, and they want the same care and respect back, right? And they'll do anything for their artists. The good managers will, at least. I mean, Scooter with Justin Bieber, that was a great example, right? Yeah. He really, really became part of their family. And at the end of the day, like, if you didn't have that, you wouldn't have Justin Bieber. Yep. I'm sorry, like, not on the scale that he's at right now. It just wouldn't have happened. I think he would have broke apart. I don't think he ever would have really reached like the stardom he's at, had these massive pop records. I don't think that he would have skyrocketed. He would have capped. He would have fell apart, had his breakdown, and never came back from it. Yeah. Because the truth is like, Scooter was like, he's that person. It's like that father figure, that person that's going to like, keep you going, and part of the team that's going to be like
team managed.
Yeah, that's like, yo, this is bigger than us. Yeah. You have to think like that, because if you're making music, you have to understand you could make a song that could change people's lives. Not one person, but millions of people's lives. And if you don't think like that, you don't hold yourself accountable and responsible for that, you'll never really reach greatness with your music or your art. It is very much a responsibility. If you're putting stuff out there that make people feel a certain way, they have babies because of your music, your song. You know, they get married and they dance to your song, and it's their song at their wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Their daughter died of cancer, and that song is the only thing that brings them joy in their life.
Yeah, you're making people so sad.
Are you sad?
Just thinking about it.
I'm just saying, like, this is a big responsibility. So when you put out records and you just tell people I need $1 million and I'll be hit and I'll be dope, you'll never get that $1 million because you're so focused on you. It won't happen for you. And if it does, it will go away. But if you're focused on building your team and building something that's bigger than you, and you have a purpose and you have a design for this thing that's going to help a lot of people and going to change a lot of people's lives, and you understand that responsibility, then I think you go through a lot of shit. You give up a lot of things. You know, you let your team fucking feed off you. You put your money into it. You suffer and you go through shit because you know in the long run it'll work out because people are on your side. You know?
What do they say? Humans are inherently selfish. You have to
Absolutely.
not be that percentage.
You have to push that into a small corner for sure.
Because if you're inherently selfish, then you're actually going to be the limiting factor.
Of everything.
Of everything.
Of the build of everything. Of any income that might come in, any opportunities. Because your ego will get in the way. You'll say no to things that you need to say yes to. You won't say yes to things because you won't see it serving you, but maybe it will be serving your team. And I think that that's super fucking important. You got to feed your team. If your team doesn't feel like, yo, we're getting this. We're getting the credit due. We're excited. We're motivated. We're getting something out of this. We're able to be a part of this. If they don't feel that way, they won't be on your team long.
Yeah, and it's so like every team or every organization or even every business has a set of resources, and if you squander the resources, whether it's time, money, you know what I mean, credit. If you take all the credit, you know what I mean? And while
nobody's going to want to be around that.
no one's going to want to work with you. You know what I mean?
So I'm here on your team to build you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for real. And
people won't stay.
A lot of places, businesses, I wouldn't even say music industries, it's a lot of businesses are like that. The shareholders eat, the employees are numbers. Mm-hmm. Nobody gives a fuck. Get back to work. I'll replace you, etc. And it's the wrong way to think about it. The most successful companies, they treat their employees like
and their
equals.
Employees care about the business.
Facts. They get paid vacations and they get all this stuff that they want, you know? But I think like company culture is a big part of it, and that culture needs to be part of your life. It needs to be a lifestyle thing. It's like I treat people well because I like to be treated well, and I want them to work as hard as I work. But finding ways to motivate people. It's not easy, man. They're not robots. They're not AI. They don't just keep going. They get sad. They get depressed. They get hungry. They get tired. They get, whatever. You can't just treat your team like, just get to work and fucking hustle. It's like it's delusion. It's crazy. And that's how a lot of people are treating this thing. It's like, I just hustle every day. I never sleep. Yeah, you never sleep. You're going to fucking fail, dude. I'm sorry. You got to sleep. You got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of your team. Not me.
Me.
But that's just like an ego thing. It's like, I don't sleep, bro. I made 80 beats this week. I'm like, nobody cares. The only one that cares is you, because you're able to say that and give yourself validation, but nobody else cares.
Funny thing, because this just reminds me, we just had the Radium workshop. I was talking about this at the workshop. One of the kids asked me, well, if you only have so many hours in the day, how do you get more done? I'm like, because I have a fucking team of people, and I'm trying to build that team even bigger.
Facts.
And people who believe in what we're doing here. And that's how you get more things done. That's how you
multiply.
Get bigger. Yeah. You stop relying on yourself is what you stop doing. That's how you do more.
That's really hard to do too. Because
give up things.
We all work off of emotion. We're humans. Everything we do is because of emotion, and then we make our final decisions off of logic. So what we do is we justify with logic. We say, I want to do this thing. And people are like, why do you want to do that thing? And you're like, because I know I need to do this. I'm made for it. And you're like, why? And then, you know, this passion and this emotion. And then you finally go to the internet and you try to prove yourself right. And you find things that are logically appealing that make sense, right? And then you sell yourself and you close them on that reason logically.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why your mom always sides with you.
Yeah.
Because you convince her.
Right. Because you're emotional.
Because she loves you.
Because you're an emotional creature. But that's how we all are. And I think at the end of the day, like nobody's beyond that. If you're following people or you know people that just tout how much they hustle and how dope they are and they never sleep and all that, those people that say that the most are the people that sleep the most, sit around the most, scroll the internet the most, and don't do very much at all. And I promise you that's true. If you meet people that say, like, I hustle, I've been hustling, I'm always hustling, I'm grinding, I'm so busy, I guarantee you they're not as busy as they say they are. Like, probably 40% busy, you know? Like most of this stuff is to validate. It's to justify what we do. It's like, and this is why you need a team, because a team multiplies those efforts and they keep you accountable. So when you're saying you're hustling and your team can go, no, you're not. You know what I mean? You could do more.
You can hustle too. Everyone, you can hustle backwards.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
You could be working against yourself.
You could work really hard. You could spend a lot of time on things that don't matter and you could get nowhere.
Dude, I could be sitting here all day just like running in circles around this studio and be like, dude, get home and tell my girl, like, I'm exhausted.
Brad could work really hard on Melodyne and he's really slow at it. And then we could get nothing done. You know what I mean?
It's not going to matter. Like, everyone's like, what'd you do, Brad? What'd you get done today? And I'm like, dude, I Melodyne this part so good. They're like, you spent 8 hours on Melodyning, bro. Yeah, so it sounds really good.
Yeah, so that's what
But you needed to get on these calls and you needed to do this stuff and build business and
so be a specialist and hire specialists.
I Melodyned really well.
Work with specialists. Work with people who are good at shit.
I clean the sink really well. Like, yo, just fuck off with that shit. Find the things that are most important, you know, and everything else put off to the side. I honestly think that it's really important to procrastinate on things that don't matter. And most of us procrastinate on the things that are the most important, and we work the hardest on things that don't matter because they're the easiest things.
Speak for yourself.
No, most of us do. I guarantee it. And I can look at everybody, including myself, and find those all the time. Like, yo, you did this for 4 hours, right? But you procrastinated on like making this pitch for this deal you need to close for, you know, $100,000, whatever. Like, that's way more important than you finishing a mix for a client that paid you nothing for a song that's not going to go anywhere. Yep. Like, why the fuck did you spend that time there, you know? But we do that because that way we can say we got that, and that done. It's like checking off our checklist, right? But I think like the team thing, you're able to go like, yo, what'd you do today? Because we had a meeting and you were supposed to do this, this, and this. And then when the person on your team says, well, I did this thing and I got it done. And then everyone's like, fail, you know, like you need that. The team has to be able to say, that was so dumb, dude. You fucked up. Like you were supposed to do this, this, and this, but you did that. Why? That's not important. We talked about this. But if you're by yourself, you're left to your own vices. You're like, everything's important. I'm so busy. I'm so tired. Why? I made 5 beats. Why'd you make 5 beats? Did anyone hear them?
Do you make any money off it?
You make any money? Did you put them out? Are they published? Do you have anything done with them? No, man. But I made 5 beats. You know, it's like pats on the back. Anyway, I digress. You can find Kevin on IG at KDE Beats.
I regress.
You regress?
Yeah.
Keep going.
And you can find Mr. Ice Chunks at Bradley HD on MySpace.
Or Grindr.
Grindr.
God damn. Those apps, dude. You see those billboards in LA, they're just gnarly.
There's too many apps, period.
I think people like the whole sexual thing. Like it's just like I
see a lot of billboards for condom ads.
We get it.
Why
like,
is there so many condoms?
You fuck women, you fuck men, you fuck each other. Like nobody cares. Like just everyone's looking for attention, I think.
Yeah.
You know? How do we get attention? I fucked a squirrel. I'm a squirrel fucker.
I don't know what he's talking about, but yes, at Radium Media. You
I don't
follow
know
us.
what I'm talking about either.
We don't do whatever he just said.
Definitely don't fuck squirrels. Unless I'm drunk.